All right, everybody out there in YouTube land, I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining me here today. Lions Talk Live. We're going to get this to this quickly here. Hey, we got some news that's just hitting the wire. Some of this came to me, I don't know, maybe a half hour ago or so. Want to give a credit and shout out to Hutch Jr. for getting this over because he's been on this all day long, kind of researching it, diving into it. But you know what? When it was just one of these stories, I didn't feel like I had the time to go on to it. The wife and I are doing some projects around the house. But when the second one hit, I said, man, we got to get to this for the Dew Crew. First one off the bat. As you guys know, a trade season is in the air in the NFL. Trades are already starting to happen. And everybody out there probably knows who Rossini is, covered the NFL for a long time. She is reporting that the Lions, amongst a few other teams, have already spoken to the Miami Dolphins about Phillips. Phillips, you know, hey, we're always looking to try to improve that defensive end spot. Could this happen? This has been speculated in Detroit. And again, I want to be fair, a few other teams now for some time. The Lions have had some conversations per different reports, per Tom Pelissero with NFL Network. You're getting a couple now corroborating national-based reporters saying the same thing. Brad Holmes has called the Miami Dolphins about a few potential trades. Phillips appears to be one of it. Could this be an ideal fit for the Detroit Lions? I think most would agree the answer is yes. Now, is he going to be owed a big draft pick to get him from Miami? I don't think so. Have your own thoughts and conclusion, but it does appear it could be somewhere in the neighborhood to a fourth-round pick, maybe a fifth-round pick, and some other considerations. He wants out of Miami. Miami wants to unload some parts. Miami also doesn't want to give a couple players new contracts. It does seem like the national consensus is Phillips will be one of the guys out of there sooner versus later. The other part of today's show, the update, Justin Rogers just broke this about 10 minutes ago. Since a couple dozen of you have asked, here's a little bit of breaking news for the chat. Current trajectory for Ahmed Hassanein should have him back with the Lions around week 10. I'm not sure if that's practice squad or 53-man roster. Here's what I would say. If he's put on the practice squad, he's going to be poached by somebody else. I think you guys get it. I get it. There's no way Ahmed Hassanein is going to make it on the practice squad. Somebody is going to acquire him, especially when you talk about somebody like Miami Dolphins or a couple teams looking to rebuild. They're going to want to add his athleticism, his motor, his skill base. You know, I understand he needs to be developed, but when you look at all the stuff as a coach you can't teach, when it comes to his desire to go nonstop every play, that along with his size and athleticism, I think somebody would go ahead and take him off their hands if the Lions were to put him on the practice squad. So you get it, I get it. He's not going on a practice squad. For those also maybe joining a little late, it's being now reported by up to 3 to 4 different national beat reporters. Tom Pelissero is also one of them. Rossini is also another one, confirming that Miami Dolphins are openly taking offers and are talking to multiple different teams about Phillips. Phillips, the pass rushing end, linebacker, depending on how you want to use him, he is somebody that appears Brad Holmes has caught his eye with and has already spoken to the Miami Dolphins about it. I can only base that on national media reports. I have nothing in-house telling me about it, so come to your own conclusions with it. I know there's always going to be some knucklehead that comes after me for saying what national media reporters say. Hey, that's part of my job, so come to your own conclusions as always. What would you give up if you were the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes to acquire Phillips? I think, like I'm saying, I think it would be a fourth-round pick somewhere in that range. He's going to want some cash. He's going to want a new contract, so part of it. The other part is, how do you feel about Ahmed Hassanein's return? He is going to be back sooner versus later for this Detroit Lions team. You start thinking about Davenport coming back, Reed coming back, Terrion Arnold coming back, Ahmed Hassanein coming back. You look at that Detroit Lions line, we all get it on Monday Night Football. Aleem the Dream McNeil is going to be back as well. Sounds like Taylor Decker is going to be back. Terrion Arnold, for those who didn't watch the press conference earlier today, MCDC said, yeah, he's not going to be back for Monday Night Football, so we can take that off the board. All right, guys, Dew Crew, let me get through you real quick. Then I got to get back to the kitchen and working on all that. 5 fingers ready. I want Phillips bad. I think a lot of Detroit Lions fans do. I think Miami doesn't use him right. Could be some truth to that. Quentin, Reading the Sanitation's coach. No TA tomorrow. No, it doesn't sound like he will play Monday Night Football. Just say, K. Going to be a lot of selling in Miami soon. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing. You get past this week, I think there's a lot of teams. This year, it seems, in my opinion, There are haves and have-nots in the NFL. There's not as many middle ground teams. I think you're going to see some more selling from a few of those teams trying to acquire things for the future. Brad will add cheap to low-cost players. He won't give up first or seconds. I would agree with that fully. I think he'll give up like 7th, 6th, 5th rounders. I don't think he's going much above that. Clark, we really do need to try and win it all this year. Best chance I feel DC and Brad Holmes have had in 5 seasons. Yeah, could be. Jonathan, good afternoon. Back at you, my friend. Bo, trade talk gets my oxygenation and brooding. Exclamation point. Woo! I'll take that. I do think just because, for those who want to speculate and say Brad's never going to trade for anybody, Brad will trade for somebody. He can be on either side of this fence. Here's what I do know. He's done in the past. He's admitted he has had multiple conversations with teams in the past as well, but didn't work out trades. The other aspect is going into your bye week. If you're going to add somebody, this does seem to be a logical time for it. Why is that? Well, you got the bye to kind of bring them up to speed. The other part is, let me pull up the schedule real quick. You look at after the bye, Minnesota Vikings, I think that's a winnable game for us. And in no disrespect to the Vikings, I think they're having a pretty good season. I also think that that's an ideal time to start breaking somebody in with the bye week and then them. All right, Hookadoo, bet you if he wants to come back from Miami also, that could be accurate. I would take him at this point. Egon, hopefully there's other goodwill gestures like hosting scrimmages with Miami could pay off. Yeah, maybe indeed. Pierce, Hookadoo, I think Iffy is hurt again. Ooh, I haven't even paid attention to that, but you might be right there, Pierce. Hookadoo, imagine that, Pierce. Laughing out loud, DDI has a long reach. He does indeed. Pierce, Hookadoo, and also Phillips has a long injury history. Speaking of that reach, to be fair to your point, Pierce, when you look at the different reports and why Miami maybe doesn't want to re-sign him, that's probably going to be a big part of it. We also know Brad Holmes has a history of rolling the dice on injured players and trying to get cheaper performance players because of their injured history. One Funky, I'm not interested in anyone that wants a new contract. Yeah, that's the other part of it, One Funky. To your point, would you be taking him just on a one-year rental, which I would think would turn down the Detroit Lions draft offer or draft pick offer? Melissa Fisher, as long as we don't lose him, Ed, I'm open to anything. Yeah, and again, I get that Justin Rogers knows more about what's going on with the Detroit Lions than any of us, but I just would say, in my opinion, if you read this, I don't think there's a chance in heck that Ahmed Hassanein goes to the practice squad just for that reason. Somebody's going to poach him. Bo, it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Pierce, but Phillips for rental, I'd be good with that. Me too, man. Me too. Who asked for? Well, we'll find out, Dolo. Ken, problem is Lions' 4th round pick is basically a 5th round pick. So depending on where you're bidding against, you might have to give up a 3rd. That's a great point, Ken. You remember a few years ago, I think it was about 3 years ago, we had the news for you guys that the Lions had talked to, who was it? Washington about Montez Sweat. The Lions offered a 3rd. That got turned down. Why? Because the Chicago Bears went up to a second round pick for them was basically a late round 1st. That beats us. And you could obviously get it that Brad Holmes didn't want to give Lions 1st. Pierce, we don't have 3s? No, we don't. No, at the moment. Ken, well, whatever round they want, if you have to bid against a team with worse record, you might have to up the offer, maybe multiple picks. Could be true. Pierce, now hear me out on this cut Davenport for Hassanein. We'll see what they do. Ken, Davenport can go if need be. Never here anyways. That is accurate. All right, guys, get back to your Saturday. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, take care and have a great day. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. See you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.